Hey guys. Hey YouTube. I see a squirrel. I see a squirrel. Oh, I see two. Oh my gosh. Wait. Oh, that's the same one. Come back. Come back. Where'd it go? There it is. Yes. Okay, so also a thing happened apparently. Luckily, that is not my car. Thank frickin' gosh. That is not my car, but I just noticed that that's outside of the apartment that I stay at. So yeah, this is right behind the apartment that I stay at, and I don't know if that was possibly from the wind, because we did have a wind advisory today. But to me, just going off of what I'm seeing, to me that just looks like possible lightning. I don't know, to me that looks like lightning. I don't see how just wind could do that. Yeah, we did have a wind advisory, but I'm obviously outside right now and I just got back from the store. It does not feel very windy to me. Maybe it was from last night or something, or the day before, but I did not notice any wind like from the windows like yesterday or last night really either. So yeah. That is bad. It's actually worse from the back. So just in case, try not to get too much of the license plate there. Not that I actually really care all that much, because I'm clearly just messed with so much anyways through my YouTube and through so many other ways. I really just don't care a whole lot anymore at this point, which is not good, but like, look at the crap. Look at the back. Like, look, just at that part. Yep. And then there's that. And then there's all that. It's pretty bad, right? Look, I don't have my backpack on me right now. Can you believe it? I have my keys though. My backpack's on the other side of that building, or it should be. It better be. I don't know why my glasses do that. So yeah. All right, now we gotta go back around. Like, step through all that. Sorry, I'm just gonna cover some of where I'm going back into my car. It's pretty though back here. It's weird though, because we had a bunch of dandelions. We literally, so all of this grass, I kid you not, all of this grass and all of that grass, it was literally all like 90% dandelions just a couple days ago. And I don't know where they all went. Like, where did they all go? Like, they're not, like, there's none here anymore, apparently. So maybe somebody just mowed the lawn, like mowed over them or something, or weed whacked them. I don't really know, but oop, okay, whatever. I don't really care. More of a little glimpse into the life, the existence My video that I did last night got cut short again, so I'm just gonna roll with it, and I'm a very silver lining kind of person. So, or I try to be. So, when that happened, well, yeah, basically as that was happening or like right before that happened and then after that happened, when my video got cut short last night, that kind of thing happens to me a lot. Um, like often, you know? And usually when that happens, it says that I have 1 viewer. So, of course, I can't help but to assume that that 1 viewer is the person, like, it's probably somebody that's the person doing it. I don't think it's YouTube. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it's because it doesn't say that I have 0 viewers when that happens. It says that I have 1 viewer. So, clearly, that just seems like it's that 1 viewer messing up my stream and causing that to happen. So, because I try to be a silver lining kind of person, I know it's bad, I know it's like or it could be bad, but I'm just not gonna care that much anymore. I'm not like, I don't care if people know my location. I don't care if people know where I dance. I don't care if people know personal things about me. I'm not gonna live in fear. I've had too many messed up things happen. I've talked a lot lately about how somebody clearly broke into my car, or well, I don't know when it happened, but I noticed this exactly 1 week ago. So today is Friday. Happy Friday, by the way. Woohoo. Yes, today is Friday. Exactly 1 week ago, last Friday, I noticed the spokes on this hairbrush had been cut. I've said before, the plastic is too sturdy for them to have broken off by themselves. They've clearly been cut. And I always lock my car. Every single time that I'm not in my car, I lock it. So for somebody to still have been able to get in here and do this kind of thing, and this is not the only thing that's happened. I've had stuff go missing from my car many times before. And same thing with the apartment that I stay at. I've said many times before, this kind of thing has even happened with my lockers at the club. You know, like weird stuff has happened with that. So clearly whoever is doing these things has a lot of power and capabilities, apparently. And I'm just gonna try to see the silver lining and just not care. Hopefully they're well-intentioned, and if they're not, then that obviously sucks for me. And I guess I should probably be scared. But I'm not gonna be scared because that's a waste of my energy. And I'm already scared of everything else in life anyways. Because literally anything can happen at any time, whether or not like a bad person or a bad intentioned person wants that to be the case or does something. Like just nature in itself, like the weather. Obviously, these things can very well probably be controlled and manipulated by people these days with the technology the way that it is. Like I often question if the weather these days is probably could be controlled by people for all we know, or for all I know. A person could be controlling the weather or people, or they could not. But the thing is, regardless if they are or not, like nature all on its own is unforgiving and just brutal and merciless. It doesn't care who you are, where you come from. It doesn't discriminate. Nature existing all on its own is just like that. Like, it's dangerous, and anything that you do is pretty much just gonna be a risk. Like, whether or not you really stop to think about it or realize it or dwell on it, regardless of how much thought you wanna put into that, that's pretty much just nature all on its own. Like, you know what I mean? If somebody were to go wander off into the forest right now to just, like, go on a hike or whatever, like, you see that pretty much instantly, like good luck. You know what I mean? You better know what you're doing, or, like, as much as possible, you better wanna think, you better try to know what you're doing, like, again, yeah, s even if people aren't controlling the weather all on its own apparently can just be pretty brutal, like, do anything at pretty much any time, like, you just never know. So with that tree, for instance, that fell on that car, for all I know, that could have been some big bad wolf in this, like, I don't know, that could have been mankind that made that lightning strike happen, or whatever it was, the wind advisory, or it could have just been nature all on its own without any human interference, like, either way, it's messed up. Either way, it's scary. So, why would I bother to be scared of one person or scared of people? Like, I am, of course I am, but why would I bother to be more like, put more energy into that or dwell on that when I'm just as scared of everything else? I'm just as scared of the weather. I'm just as scared of the winter that I have to deal with 7 to 8 months out of the year where I'm from. I'm just as scared of literally everything else in the world as I would be scared of people, or even just one specific person. Even whichever one specific person might have been the one to break into my car and do this. Like, I'm not gonna, just put my attention in my, like, onto one specific area. So yeah, like, you know, I'm not gonna broadcast every single day, every single stream where I am and where I'm from. But you know, people from Miami, people from New York City, people from Los Angeles, they'll rep where they're from. Like, it's going out of style. Like, they're proud to be where they're from. So just because I'm some stupid little nobody from a stupid little small town doesn't mean I'm just gonna live in fear that some big bad wolf out there might find out where I'm from. If they want to come to where I am, good luck, because it's a little shithole with absolutely nothing going on. I don't know. I'm pretty tired of that narrative that, it's mainly females in small towns that are single and that aren't close to their families, that should be so scared, and like, dude, I've already been through so much bullshit since day one that I'm gonna be scared regardless. And nothing's I don't think anything would change that. So, like, let's say somebody lives to be 80 or 90 years old. So let's just assume that that's the idea then. Like, okay, so let's just try to forego danger and bad things happening as much and for as long as possible, to the point where somebody gets to live to be a very, very old age, like a very elderly senior citizen, 80s, 90s years old. Is that really so great anyway? I mean, maybe it can be okay for some people. Maybe some people at that age are still somehow miraculously able to have some quality of life and be relatively happy. Who knows? I have no idea. But I'd like to think that, sure, it might be possible. Sure, why not? But I feel like it's also probably pretty likely that, that's probably not the greatest thing either, because I've worked with old people. I've worked with a lot of people in their 80s and 90s, and a lot of them had DNR instructions for their medical, like, records, which, for anyone that wouldn't already know, stands for do not resuscitate. So basically, if something were to happen to them, to where they were to just, like, start to die or whatever, like, in real time with, like, a caregiver like me, like, with them, their medical instructions were for us to not do anything and just basically let them die, like do not resuscitate them. So basically, yeah, they weren't too keen on having a whole lot of extra measures taken to prolong their life any longer than it already had been. Or yeah, I mean, I worked with old people. I didn't do that job for a super long time, but I feel like I did it long enough to get a feel and get a glimpse of how not nice that kind of old age kind of stuff can be. You know, like I've said before, yeah, sure, I do fear death. I fear death, absolutely. I'm terrified of it, just like I'm terrified of almost everything else, pretty much everything else. Like, but I'm so scared of everything else to the point where there's a lot of stuff in life that I'm way more scared of than death. Yes, primarily people, but I don't know. It's a really weird feeling to have my streams interrupt and disconnect on their own, for so many of my videos to have ended just not by me, by someone or something else of which I'm not aware. And then when that happens, like last night, for instance, again, this has happened many times before, but almost every single time that it's happened, including last night, it'll disconnect and then it'll say that it reconnects just moments afterwards. And because it says that it reconnects, I'll try to keep streaming. Although these days, because I've had experience with this now many times, these days, like last night, I didn't keep streaming for very long after it disconnected. I think I went for like another 10 or 15 minutes or so, because I pretty much knew, or I definitely figured that I probably was no longer streaming at that point. So what happened, and I was right, you know, because that the latter 10 to 15 minutes of what I tried to stream did not post like I figured would happen. But what happened, because I had a lot of viewers, it looked like, for most of that stream that I did last night. Up until it disconnected, I had just a much higher number than I'm used to having. I think it was like in the 60s and 70s, 50s, 60s, 70s. For me personally, I know like for YouTube in general, that's not a lot for most people, but for me personally, that's actually a lot of viewers to have for a live stream. So, but after it disconnected, it pretty much slowly but surely went down to 1 viewer. So if it had gone down to 0 viewers, I would have been like, oh, okay, I'm definitely not streaming anymore, or most likely not streaming anymore. But when I saw the 1 viewer, I was like, I still had the same feeling, like I'm probably not streaming anymore. But I kind of just kept going for, yeah, like 10, 15 more minutes, just to do it, just as like a little experiment. And yeah, it didn't end up posting that to my video. Like that part was definitely cut out. What I ended up saying in that last 10 to 15 minutes though, was basically that I had been talking about how I don't really have regulars at the club, how it makes me really sad, you know, just going back into talking about how I don't do well at the club as a stripper and that kind of thing. And I was like, but maybe, like I started to talk about how like somehow, some way, I had kind of managed to be mostly okay somehow. Like, it's hard to try to explain, but I was like, because I was talking about like NPCs and like thinking that how, well, just saying how like a lot of earlier in that video, I was saying how I was talking a lot about how a lot of times I question the people around me, or like the people around me, like wondering if they're actually really people these days, or if they ever have been, or if they're maybe just like part of some simulation or video game that somebody else is controlling, like NPCs, just like filler in the background. And maybe that's why a lot of things just seem so weird and unrealistic and crazy to me so much of the time. you know, like a science fiction movie, or you know that saying how sometimes the truth is even stranger than fiction kind of stuff? Well, for instance, right now it says that I have 3 viewers watching this. So that sounds more normal for me. Um, yeah, usually up until recently I had been getting a lot more viewers for my videos, for my live streams than I'm used to. But like right now to have 2, it says I have 2, or it said 3. I'm sure it'll say 1, which that's like the really freaky thing, but single digits, now it says 7. So, but basically single digits. Single digit viewers is what I'm used to. That's like a normal thing for me to see. What's not normal is for me to see 50s, 60s, 70s. And I have noticed a lot more views on my videos lately, to where I definitely question it. I definitely I'm like, that's suspicious. That makes no sense. Of course, it's cool to see higher numbers, but it's also very just, yeah, strange, kind of suspicious. Like, it just feels like it's probably something that's made up and not really real. But then it's like, you know, I'm even at this point questioning if the people around me are real. I'm questioning everything being real these days because things have just gotten that crazy for me. And they have been that crazy for me for quite a while. But especially as I continue to go forward, just like each next day that I experience and as time goes on, things just seem to get weirder and weirder and crazier and crazier. To where I do question a lot of stuff. But also earlier in my video yesterday, I was saying at the very start of that video, I was talking a lot about how genetics really interest me. Like a lot of sciencey type stuff like that, I do find really interesting. But at the same time, the whole concept of genetics is kind of just makes me feel, it's not one of those things that makes me feel kind of just sad and disappointed and dirty and gross, because my family line is pretty much like just nothing. Like, it's basically myself and then my mother and my grandmother. And the guys, like the male side of our family line, which again barely even exists anyways, but the male, like the guys, the male side of that is like just really not involved, or just pretty much MIA. Just not really, they've never really been around very much or involved very much. I've never really known or been close to any of the biological males that biologically would be part of my family line, but really not much so otherwise, other than just strictly biologically. So that was what I was talking a little bit about at the very start of the last video that I did for like the most recent video that I did, which was last night. That was the start of the video. And then the video, yeah, that video, my streaming, I tried to stream for over 2 hours. But it only posted like 1 hour and 56 minutes. I think the original timestamp was like 2 hours and 11 minutes. So again, it's not a whole lot. Thankfully, it's not a whole lot of footage that was cut out of the end of that. But I actually did kind of say a lot, even though it wasn't time-wise a lot of footage that got cut out towards the end of that. I did say a lot, or I felt like I did towards the end of that. And part of the reason I did that was also just kind of like a little experiment on my part. I was saying some things that I was very uncomfortable saying, with the intention and with the feeling that, well, I was doing that on purpose because I pretty much figured that, again, that stuff probably wouldn't post in the video, which again, I was correct. That did end up being the case. So I was talking about stuff that is especially sensitive, like subjects for me. Basically how, like, back to like the NPC kind of feeling that I get from stuff around me sometimes, like from the people around me sometimes. I was like, yeah, talking about how I don't have regulars at the club and how that freaks me out. But then I started to talk towards the end, yeah, about how I was like, well, somehow, some way, I've still kind of managed to be okay so far with things. So maybe someone out there like does somehow, some way have my back, or because I also was talking about how I have been trying to write a book for a very long time. And with that, especially, I've been trying to write a book for like 2 decades, which is obviously, I mean, that's kind of a long time. So not as much these days. Like these days, most of my work and most of my notes for that are on a separate laptop that I have that's specifically designated for that. Hopefully it still works. It's still a very old laptop, and I mean, it's been through many winters without the heat on, like just locked up in my fridge. The fridge is off, but with the heat being off in the winter 4 years in a row, it's still been very, very cold in the apartment, to where the apartment has basically felt like one big fridge itself in the wintertime, which again, the winters here are like 7 or 8 months of the year, pretty much. I haven't been on that laptop in a while, so I really do hope that it works. The last time I went on it, it wouldn't work without being plugged into the charger. Like basically, even when it was fully charged, anytime that I unplugged the charger from the laptop would instantly shut off. And the only way that it would stay on was for the charger to constantly be plugged into it. And again, that's with the laptop already being fully charged anyways. So that is obviously concerning. And that was pretty much last year. So at this point this year, I'm scared to dare to try to go back on it. I have so much of my work, so much of my writing saved on there. I do have that stuff saved also on my keychain. And I have it saved other places too, other USB drives, like similar to this. But regardless, because go figure, laptops don't really they don't seem to come with Microsoft Word anymore like they used to. If that laptop were to not work anymore, I don't know how I would work on my writing anymore. Which honestly, I mean, I don't know how to feel about that. Obviously, I would feel devastated for the most part, but then there's a big part of me that's just so sick of it too. Like, I already probably could and should be working on it right now. I don't really feel able to in the winter because, yeah, with the heat off, it's just so cold. It's like freezing in the apartment. So really all I can stand to do most of the time is just huddle under the covers. Whereas now it's spring and it's actually been getting pretty hot lately, to where, but in the apartment that I stay at, the temperature has felt like perfect for me lately. Well, that was like today and last night, it felt perfect. A couple days before that, it was in the 90s or over 90 degrees. So it was actually too hot in there for me. But that was just a couple days because it is only May still right now. So then it cooled off at night, obviously, you know, and that was a couple days ago. So by now it's back to being like the perfect temperature for me, like not too hot, not too cold. Like that's just, so yeah, really in theory, I could be working on my writing and probably should be right now, but yeah, I'm scared to just even try to put that laptop back on because I would be so devastated if it were to just not work anymore, and that it would actually really be surprising if that wasn't the case because again, yeah, it's a very old laptop and it's been through so many winters of freezing cold with no heat, but also so many summers where it's been so hot with no air conditioner. So it's been through a lot of years of very extreme temperatures. I think I actually got that laptop back in 2016. So the laptop itself would be at least, yeah, probably like 10 years old. And it's been through so many years of very extreme temperatures, like on both ends, extremely hot, extremely cold. So anyways, that's how I've been trying to work on my writing lately. But when I first started to try to write a book like 2 decades ago, I would say for the first decade, so yeah, I guess the second decade, it's been mostly from that laptop. The first decade, I was sending a lot of notes to my emails. Like my own personal emails, I was basically sending my work, sending my notes to myself through my email because that was before I got the USB drives, and a lot of that was actually also probably before I even knew that USB drives were a thing or like even existed. So my way of trying to save my work was, yeah, just sending it to my emails. And I'm pretty sure those emails were hacked into. And I just oftentimes get the feeling that they were, yeah, just that all that information is out there. And that's a big part of why I'm so candid on my YouTube and I just talk about so much deep, dark personal stuff, kind of almost like with no filter and just not really caring about my own safety or how people might interpret or what they might choose to do with that information. I've gotten to the point where I really don't care anymore because, yeah, again, things have just been too crazy for me for so long already. And my past is terrifying, my present is terrifying, and my future is the most terrifying prospect of all. Like, as deep and dark and scary and terrifying as my past and my present are, the future by far outweighs that by how scared I am thinking about the future. Just absolute sheer complete terror. Just fear, dread, terror, just 100%. Like very, 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 very little hope. Like extremely, extremely little hope for the future. The tiniest possible shred you could probably ever imagine for that of hope. Um, so yeah, I was talking about that towards the end of my video last night, the parts that got cut out. And I was talking about how in a lot of my notes, I was basically talking about basically being a nobody and coming from a long line of losers as far as my very small, little, limited amount of family is, you know, like I hardly have any family to speak of anyway. The little family that I do have, I don't seem to mean very much to them. But they do mean a lot to me, and they mean a lot to me to the point where I do want to do something big and noticeable and kind of create like some kind of a legacy for us. Um, like it's hard to explain, but I feel like I just come from this long line of what seems to be pretty much losers. And I'm sick of it, and I want something better for us. I want something bigger, something better. And I really just refuse to be a small-time nobody for the rest of my, like, for forever. You know, like that's how I have felt and that's how I've been for so long. And I just have this feeling of refusal within me. Like I just refuse for that to remain how things are for me forever. Even if, I don't know, even if it takes until after I'm already gone. Like even if it's, you know how like a lot of famous people don't really become well known until after they've already died. That's such a like a terrible concept to me. That's just like such a bummer. But I'd still like to think that it's better than nothing, or it's better than just being a complete nobody for all time. Like of course I'd rather be recognized and well known for my talents and for my ability, for my drive, for my ambition. I would love to be recognized and known for those things while I'm still alive. Of course I would prefer that. But you know, I would still rather be at least known for those things after the fact, after I die, than just never at all. You know what I mean? So, because yeah, I was saying towards the end of my video last night, I know that I'm talented and I have so much drive and so much ambition, um, so much desire to try to do big things. I have so many goals, so many aspirations, so many things that I want to do, so many things I want to try to do. I want to try to make the world a better place. I want to be able to have an impact, like a positive impact on the people around me. Um, I want to affect positive change in the world. I want to build things. I want to create things. I want to grow things or help them grow, um, like bigger, better, positive directions. That kind of stuff. And I just I can't stand the thought of just staying this small town loser nobody forever. I just refuse to do that. I just can't bear that thought. I just can't bear that. I just, that can't happen. I've been through too much already and I just refuse. I, it's another one of those things that I just refuse to let happen, that I just refuse to do, that I refuse to be the case. I just refuse outright. That just cannot, I just refuse. Like, and a lot of the writing, a lot of my writing, a lot of the book that I've been trying to write, a lot of it is about that. Um, especially, yeah, when I was sending um that those notes to myself, you know, to my email or multiple email addresses, so much of what I was trying to write about was about that, about this kind of stuff. Um, and because it just seems, because I've noticed so many things that make it seem like those emails were hacked into and like infiltrated, you know, and then I noticed my car apparently being broken into in the apartment that I stay at and my lockers at the club, all of which are locked. I'm like, you know, somebody out there with power and money must have come across those notes and they're either trying to hurt me or help me or possibly both. Like, it's almost like they're leaving little clues here and there, or I really have no idea. But my mind does go a lot of crazy places with this stuff and with so many other things. The world is just such a crazy place these days. I mean, I'm sure it probably always was, but I just mean like especially with technology nowadays, you know? And like all of the crazy science fiction novels and movies and ideas and concepts that have been out there for so many decades already, just going so far back. And it's like you combine that way of thinking and all of those crazy ideas, those crazy concepts, you combine that with the technology, the way that it's gotten in this day and age, and especially continuing to go forward into the future. And it's like the combination of all that is just so mind-blowing to me and very overwhelming, but also very interesting and very fascinating for sure. Um, so you know, obviously a lot of this, especially for someone like me, it can also go some very scary places in my mind that, yeah, of course, really do freak me out. But yeah, again, I've already been through so much already at this point, and y- just nature, the world in and of itself, just innately, with or without mankind's involvement, it's like can already be so crazy. Anything can already happen, it seems like, at pretty much any time. So I just refuse to consciously allow myself to live in any more fear than I already would have. Like, I already have this base level of fear about everything that like I said earlier, will probably never go away. That will probably stay with me forever. It's been there for so long, it probably always will be there. And that applies to almost all things. But, you know, I'm still gonna try to do what I feel able to do, especially as far as like, yeah, my YouTube, and if something happens to show on camera, or if somebody, if people out there know where I dance, know where I'm from, then so be it. You know, I probably won't be here my entire life. Like, or even if I am, I mean, people are gonna do what they're gonna do, and I'm gonna still try to do what I wanna do. as much as I can, as long as I can, and whatever issues might come up along the way, I'll just try to deal with them as best I can, but I can't also help but to wanna just think that with all of the crazy, scary possibilities there might be out there, or there clearly are out there, maybe there could also be the possibility that, yeah, someone out there might actually somehow, some way have my back or be trying to help me or looking out for me. Probably not, you know, they could also very likely be ill-intentioned and just trying to get under my skin and bother me, which has definitely been happening and been the case. This definitely does bother me. This definitely gets under my skin. But I try to be a silver lining kind of person to the point where I can look at something like this and be freaked out and be scared, but still try to put a positive spin on it. Try You know, like, that's a conscious choice and a conscious decision that I'm choosing to make. I mean, I was saying in my video last night, yes, the spokes were cut off of this. I counted, and it was exactly 19 of them, that were cut off. That happened well, I don't know when it happened, but I noticed it for the first time 1 week ago last Friday. Also, earlier this same month, I had noticed $19 at the top of the pole at the club that I dance at. That happened 2 weeks in a row, and just like this, there's no way that that could just be coincidence. There's no possible way. It was exactly $19 both times, stacked nice and neat at the top of the pole. That wouldn't just land up there on its own. Someone or something would have had to have placed that up there. Whether it was an alien, a robot, a person, an angel, a devil, I have no idea. But it couldn't have just happened on its own. Same with this. It could be a coincidence just like so many things, but I don't think that it's very likely to be just a coincidence that there were exactly 19 of these that were cut. I don't know, but it's and there's a lot of other examples that are similar to this, I feel like, to where I'm just like, yeah, I don't know, it's just and I'll be honest, I really do wanna say where I dance just outright, like but obviously with my YouTube channel being the way that it is, the things that I talk about in my videos, the very personal stuff that I share with people on here, that definitely could come back to bite me in the ass big time. Yes, for sure. But again, just because there's so many negative directions it could go, I wanna think that's still not necessarily the only direction it could go. Like, life is yin and yang. So even though a lot of negative things could come from that, it's gotta be possible that some positive things could come from that too. There's no reward without the risk. Risk and reward go hand in hand, it seems like pretty much most of the time, or a lot of the time anyway. And yeah, everything that you do, everything in life is a risk anyway. I mean, I gotta say, when I saw that tree that had landed on that car earlier today, that must have just happened because, yeah, I did come out and do a video last night. And I definitely would have noticed that. I didn't notice that last night. So, and I usually go back there to walk around the building to come out to my car. Oh, it's 7:30 on the dot. Ding. So, yeah, I mean, that must have just happened between the time that I got back last night and the time that I came out today. Um, so yeah, I guess that would have had to have happened late last night or earlier today. But I was here at the apartment, where that happened. That happened right outside my window pretty much. Like or very close to it. That happened on the same side of the building that I'm on. So, and I didn't hear a damn thing, mind you. That's a pretty big tree that fell on that car. And yeah, I was here the whole time and I didn't hear that. That's scary. That's just another scary thing, I guess. Like, and when I came out here and saw that, yeah, I was pretty freaked out. I took a lot of pictures of it. I have no idea whose car that was. But you know what another weird thing is? Where that car is parked, it's not even really in a parking space. And I can't help but wonder, why would that car not be parked in a parking space? Like, I don't know if it showed very much in the video, but they were parked in the grass, basically. So they were parked off of the driveway area, which is also really weird. I don't know. It just makes it does it's just very strange. And just another quick little example that I'll just bother to mention real quick right now. Back to the whole NPC thing and like, is anything real kind of feeling. I've talked a lot before about how the neighbors on the other side of the wall of the apartment that I'm in lately, that I've been staying at for a while, how they're always here and I can always hear them. They're always there. They're always there. I can always hear them through the walls. I'm pretty sure I know which car in the driveway is theirs. I mean, I do, or I thought I did, but lately there have been times, lately their car is no longer here when I get back from the club in the early morning hours sometimes, which that's a very recent thing. And for the longest time, it was like almost every single other car in the driveway where I park is here. Well, day and night, but especially at night, like when I get back from the club, like late, after doing a night shift at the club. And yeah, with them in particular, it's like it seemed like they would just always be here, like day, night, just all the time pretty much. All of a sudden, just very, very recently, the past week or so, when I've been getting back from the club, there have been a few nights so far where their car's not here in the middle of the night. And there's also been times where I swear, like when I'm getting ready to go out and like, when I'm getting ready in the apartment, hearing them on the other side of the wall like I normally would. So it's like I'm trying to get ready. I'm trying to do what I need to do to get ready. I'm hearing them on the other side of the wall again, just like I pretty much always do. I'm feeling very uncomfortable about that, as I pretty much always do when I hear them over there. So it's very, very noticeable to me, the movements, the noises that I'm hearing from them on the other side of the wall, because again, it makes me very uncomfortable. It feels very awkward to me, and it makes me feel very hyper aware of my own movements, of my own just what I'm doing and the sounds that I'm making, of the floors creaking, of dishes clanking, of the water running in the faucet. All of these sounds bother me a lot, and they just feel very awkward, very uncomfortable, almost painful to me, just because of how uncomfortable I feel with somebody that I don't know right there on the other side of the wall. somebody that I don't know, but somebody that I'm very, very aware of being there. So there have been times lately where I'll be doing that, getting ready to come out. Like today, for instance, I think it was, or like yesterday. I just know I just know there have been times where I'll hear them over there, and then usually when that's happening and I come out to my car, their car is indeed parked right here in the driveway like I would expect it to be, because again, I was just hearing them on the other side of the wall in the apartment next to mine. But there have also been a few times where I swear I'm hearing them over there and I come out and their car's not here. So I'm like, if I know that that's their apartment next to mine and I know that that's their car, why sometimes am I not seeing their car there? I guess there could be more than one person living over there or like a guest or something like that, but I try not to pay too much attention to this and like hyper focus on it and like try to analyze it and like think about it too much. Like just live and let live. You know what I mean? Like they're not, as far as I'm aware, they're not like going out of their way or they're not bothering me in an obvious way. It's just my own issue. It's my own problem to be bothered by hearing sounds on the other side of the wall. It's just my own self that is feeling uncomfortable because of that. You know what I mean? For my own personal issues and reasons. But like a lot of times I'll usually just try to play the radio. You know what I mean? I'll try to have some background noise. I'll just really try to tune it out, cover up the noises that I'm hearing, both from myself and from whoever's on the other side of the wall. But I don't know, everything just feels so weird and creepy and eerie to me, you know what I mean? And humans really do terrify me to the point where, like this day and age with technology, there are times where I'm almost kind of liking to entertain the possibility of people being NPCs or some people, or like some people being aliens, some people being robots, some people maybe not even being human. It's a terrifying concept, but in a way, it's almost like a reassuring kind of concept too, possibility, you know? Because yeah, like I've had so many terrifying, horrible, horrific experiences and times with people that I thought were humans just throughout the years. But especially at the club, not always, but okay, so you want a great example of this? Here's a great example. Well, I was gonna say, not always, but at the club that I dance at, yeah, like, as time goes on, luckily, somehow, some way, in a lot of ways, dancers especially actually seem to be getting better and, like, nicer and just, like, a nicer place to be, a nicer place to work. But there have been times, like, in the past where I've had obviously, this doesn't happen all the time, but I've literally had dancers hand me a $100 bill before. Or just, like, tip me money. Like, and that would never happen in real life, I feel like. That would never happen from another human. A human would never do that. And back then, well, I guess that probably only happened once or twice. There's one time in particular that really stands out to me, and I don't even know who that dancer was because it's somebody that was, like, back in 2020 probably, and that dancer was not at the club for very long, I don't think, or she was, like, that kinda dancer where I had never really seen her before. I think that she was new. I had never really seen her before that, or not much before that, and I don't think I ever really saw her very much after. Like, she was just one of those kinda dancers where it's like I saw them briefly for, like, a point in time, and then pretty much just, like, never before, never again kinda thing. I don't even know what her name was. I think I did at the time. I kind of knew her dancer name at the time, but shame on me that I can't remember what it was. But there have been so many dancers there that have come and gone, and it's like But it was a really strange time. Like, obviously, that kind of thing in and of itself is strange enough, but it was also an especially weird time overall for me because this was back in 2020. I think this was shortly after the club had reopened. So we were closed for like 5 months for the whole COVID disaster, and we reopened in August. And before there were actually many years before COVID happened in 2020. That was mostly back when I had been in this really bad situation with 2 of the DJs that were working there back then, where I was just pretty much giving them all the money that I was making. It was a really messed up situation. I've talked about it in a lot of my videos before. Um, I felt I f there again, there was a weird situation. I felt the need to be giving them my money and just overly tipping them pretty much. I felt like there was a big reason in and of itself besides, like, for my own personal reasons, like a situation that was going on with that, but also I kind of got to the point where I almost felt like the club was depending on me to do that. Like, not just them, but I felt like it was for the club to do okay. Like, I kind of felt like if I wasn't doing that, that nobody would wanna work there as a DJ, like, that, you know what I mean? Like, the club wouldn't have a DJ anymore. Because this was just for the slower shifts. So, like, it's one thing for a DJ to do, like, Friday and Saturday nights and have, like, 40 or 50 other dancers tipping them, but for the slower nights, like, and the day shifts and the slower nights that I was doing, a lot of those shifts, there's not that many other dancers, or there's just not many dancers in general that are working for those shifts. So, I had this feeling for a while there that if I wasn't, like, the main, like, sugar mama type stripper to be tipping them, like, their baseline big tip, I was like, "Well, if I don't do that, the club might not have a DJ for these nights," and then, like, this was before AI, or this was before the club had AI, you know what I mean? So, because this was back in 2020, this was, like, 6 years ago. So, or actually, this situation was going on well before 2020 happened, but, obviously, like, shit really hit the fan in 2020 especially, but, like, the club these days, we really don't have lately lately, we don't really have a designated specific DJ for the slower nights, but it's kind of, like, okay right now at this point, it seems like, because it's basically a function of AI, like, they have an AI DJ kinda thing, and they also just have, like, other employees at the club doing the DJ stuff. So, like, one way or another, like, they seem to have it figured out okay. But yeah, back then, especially before COVID happened, the club was so, like, now it's kind of whatever because between the AI and, like, the other employees that are in the DJ booth when it's not just the AI, those other employees usually aren't that busy because the club's just not that busy anymore. But back before 2020, the club was pretty busy. And also before 2020, we didn't really have that AI kind of DJ option. It was just we had, like, actual designated DJs. So, I felt like if I wasn't taking care of them with my tips, that the club was just gonna kinda, like, not do well or not have a DJ, and that the club would just be screwed, and, like, I would be screwed, and the club would be screwed, and it was just this whole big thing for a while for me with that. So then especially, like, a lot of that was going on for, yeah, very many years before COVID happened, and then when COVID did happen in 2020, the club was closed for about 5 months from, like, March, April, May, June, July. Yeah, then we reopened in August, and when we reopened in August, I remember, like, sitting in the locker room and really heavily trying to debate how much to tip the DJ for a certain shift. I remember looking at this money in my hands and just feeling so lost and confused as to what to do because, yeah, the club had just been closed for 5 months, and we had finally reopened, but everything was so different, like, at that point for a while, I don't think customers were even allowed to come up to the stage to tip us, and we were all still being forced to wear masks and stuff. Customers had to, like, sign in for VIP, and it just had this very dark, dystopian kind of feel to it, like pretty much everything did, but especially, like, being in the strip club, like, it felt very suspicious, very deep, just very dark, very scary. Very, very, very frightening, terrifying feelings going on with that. And everything, the economy was just so, like, it was so slow. There was hardly any customers coming in there. So it was obviously a lot more difficult to try to make any money in the first place. And it really, for me, especially personally, I don't know about other dancers, but it has been ever since then. Ever since then, it's been so slow there, it seems like, at least for this, because I've still been doing the slower shifts. I was doing the slower shifts then, and I've still been doing the slower shifts all from then till now. So, like, the slower shifts were already slow enough, like, already too slow for me back then, but especially since then, the slower shifts for me to be doing are so much slower than they already were. And I just remember sitting in the locker room just looking at whatever little money I had managed to get into my hands for that shift. And before, I would just give that all to the DJ, but I just remember thinking, like, the club had just been closed for 5 months. I had just had this job, this crazy job working with old people that had just put me through the ringer in a whole lot of other ways, like, just messed with me and just dragged me through the mud, it felt like. I mean, I had just had this my boss was scheduling me, like, the worst hours, just having me drive all around, and for a lot of that time, I actually wasn't even driving, I was taking the bus and walking. It was a combination. I think towards the start of it, because that was a 5-month period, so towards the start of it, I think I was mostly walking and taking the bus. And then towards the end, I might have been driving. I just remember at one point I was driving because I was driving all over the place, and I was spending a lot of gas money, and I was just going, like, nonstop, like, day and night, just, like, all over, like, just it was crazy. It was madness, and, I wasn't sleeping, and it was just when the club first reopened, I was actually still doing that job, and I was trying to juggle both of them. But anyways, yeah, I remember just looking at this money in my hand at the club after a shift one time and just being like, "What in the F do I" normally, I just would have handed it all over to the DJ and called it a day, and it would have been that's just what I was used to doing, which obviously sucked, like, that was a terrible feeling and not great, but in a way, I was kinda proud to do it because I really genuinely believed that I was doing it for the club too, for the betterment of the club or for the good of the club, but at that point, after COVID, I was just like, I didn't know how to keep doing that, and especially since, the club was so much slower and I wasn't really able to make money hardly anymore at all. So, yeah, there was this dancer, I was just, like, sitting there so sad and so confused and just, like, not knowing what to do, and there was this very young dancer, she was actually very young, it seemed like, I mean, she was like this little baby thing, and, like the size of my pinky practically, and she just hands me this $100 bill or whatever, and I guess the right thing to do would have been to refuse it, but who am I to turn down free money? That's just so out of character for me. I wish I had a strong enough character to do that kind of thing, but I don't, apparently. I mean, I don't know how to turn down free money, like, there's no way, like, I thanked her for it vehemently, I was like and of course I questioned her at first, I was like, "What do you mean? Like, what are you doing? Why are you handing me this?" And I honestly can't remember what she said or how it went. I just remember that she did it, and when I tried to, like, give it back or, like, question her about it, she just brushed it off and she made it sound like it was no big deal, and she was like I really can't remember the exact details with that, but it definitely always stood out in my mind, and I was like it just never made sense to me how an actual human could do that kind of thing. That's just it goes just like it would go against my character to not accept it as much as I would want to just, you know what I mean, like, be strong enough to do that, to resist it, but it also just like that, it also seems to be so against human nature and just humans to just willingly, freely give money to somebody else like that for no good reason really, or, like, how would that ever happen? How does that happen? Like, especially after, like, COVID or I was like, "There's no possible way," and still to this day, I'm like, "Yeah, there's no possible way, like, how did that happen? Like, did I just dream that? Did I just imagine that?" But I'm pretty sure it actually happened. So, I don't know. So, there's another example of, but I have, like, endless, it feels like. I have so many, like, examples of just stuff that makes no sense where I'm like, "This has gotta be a video game that I'm in." Or yeah. I just feel like technology has advanced so far beyond what I would even be able to come close to comprehending probably at this point. And yeah, it already, even just from the little bits that I can almost maybe kind of comprehend, even that in and of itself is already so mind-blowing to me. Um, and I just, yeah, I think about it a lot and I question this stuff a lot and just it keeps me up at night. It really does. But but then again, I've never been able to sleep very well at night anyways. So anyway, we're over an hour. I'm pretty sure I actually haven't looked at the notes yet. I don't think I've looked at these yet for this video anyway. Mm. Yes, I just farted. I should have waited till I started to resume talking and hopefully that would cover the sound, but oh my god. Oh, I feel so torn, especially around these times because I just never know what's gonna happen with my videos, especially. I never know what's gonna happen besides with anything really, but especially trying to do a video, I'm like, do I end it here or do I just keep talking? And I never know if I should keep trying to say other things. Nothing makes sense, etc., etc. Guys, my period cramps are so bad right now. And it hasn't even started yet, but it's supposed to any day now. And I just am feeling it. And I swear, like, I've always gotten bloated before my period my entire time of having it. But the older I get, I swear, the bloating, I feel like this is how I imagine it would feel to be pregnant pretty much. Like, I feel like my bloating gets worse and worse with every period that I get as I get older. Like, the bloating is indescribable. It's indescribable how bloated I get. And I literally, like, it feels like I must, and I've, I'm not sexually active. I haven't been for a very long time. So, as far as I'm aware, there's no possible way that I could be pregnant. But just with how much bloating I get, especially in my abdomen area, I swear, like, if I was sexually active, I would be completely positive that I would have to be pregnant from this. Like this, it's just awful. God, it's awful. Oh my God. I would just like to say, or try to say right now, that did I get a thumbnail yet? Oh my gosh, I don't think I did. I can't get a thumbnail lately. I really just can't do anything anymore. I can't get a thumbnail. I can't do things lately. You know what also really sucks about doing lives? I don't know how to edit them. I don't really know how to edit regular videos anyways besides, but especially lives, like I don't even know if it's an option or a possibility to edit lives. I would just like to try to say though, I am I pretty much knew that it was gonna happen because that's what normally happens after a video interrupts. Usually the rest of what I try to say after that doesn't post. So I pretty much knew that was gonna happen last night, but it did really suck because the way that I tried to end the video last night, I feel like it tied so nicely back in with what I had been talking about at the start of that video. Because I had started the video off talking about genetics and talking about my piss poor family line that barely exists, where all of the guys have pretty much just been MIA or biological guys. And, you know, I was talking about how I hate being a nobody and just from this small town and blah, blah, blah. And then towards the end of that, yeah, I kind of just naturally went back to talking about, or not back, but I just kind of naturally ended up talking about um how I refuse to do that, and like my writing, the notes that I had sent to my emails all those years ago, my emails probably being hacked into. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many of my videos that happens to where it just would have had such a nice natural flow, or mostly natural. It just were like the ends of them. A lot of times the ends of my video a lot of times I feel like they're like my favorite parts, or they could have been the best parts. They'll tie things together. You know what I mean? They'll conclude the video, and for them to just get cut short, get cut off, like, and lose footage, it is a bummer. It really does bother me, but then again, so do so many other things. I would like to do, so I still wanna do my live Q&A. I've been talking about that lately, how I wanna do a live Q&A video with you guys before the end of the month. I do still wanna do that. I've been working on trying to get some backup questions for that, and I have managed to start my list. So I have started that process. I just want to add more questions, I guess. It's 8 o'clock on the dot. Ding. So I still want to do that. I also want to do a video with this. I want to show you guys, this is basically my favorite outfits, mostly club outfits, other stuff too, but it's mostly club stuff, and it's like my favorite club stuff. So a lot of this I have probably shown on camera before, but probably pretty briefly. I would like to do one separate video just solely about all of this stuff together, like in one video, where I like show it and then talk about it, like each item that's in here, because it just keeps growing. And there's a lot of stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here, and I'd like to try to show it all in one video, yeah, together, with like details, like a detailed explanation behind why I love it so much. Behind why I love each and every item in there so much. What I was thinking with that though is, so when I realized last Friday, 1 week ago, that this hairbrush had been cut, I actually realized that for the first time while doing a live, like live here on camera, which was, you know, awkward and upsetting and obviously all of that. So I kind of have this fear now where it's like, I mean, yeah, like there's so much stuff in here at this point that, you know, I don't realistically have the time or the energy to check through it every day or every night or all the time like I ideally would like to. Like just to like do like a head count and like a checklist to try to make sure that everything that I think should be in there is actually still in there. So now I'm scared if I were to do a live video trying to show stuff, the stuff that is in there, what if like all of a sudden something is missing from there and I realize that live on camera? And then it goes down to the one viewer as that's happening and I'm just sitting here like, right, okay then. Just me and the big bad wolf or whatever would call it. I do have a red dress in here, or I should. Let's see if I can find it with one hand right now. Holy crap. Nope, that's not it. Okay. Let's see if I can find it at all. Oh my gosh. There's no such luck for me to get this with one hand, but I'll try to find it just regardless. Here, you want to see everything right now? Jesus Christ. Here it is. I found it. It's this one. Little Red Riding Hood, Big Bad Wolf. Is that it? No, it's not. That's not it. Holy crap. Holy crap. Guys. Oh no, that's... Uh-oh. And it might not be in here. That apparently, my premonition, oh wait, is this it? This is it. This is it. Thank gosh. What? Yeah, that's it. It's supposed to have a belt that goes with it though. Maybe I put the belt in my backpack. Yeah, the belt's not in here. This is it. This is the red dress. This is the red dress that I was referring to. Oh God. I guess we'll just do a little preview right now of stuff. Oh my God. I hate this. Oh my God. Life isn't hard enough without people breaking into my car and stealing my stuff, damaging my things. Oh. What else do I want to try to squeeze in real quick? I got salmon. I'm wearing this color top. So this top is actually one of the things that I was scared I might not find. I have this same type of top. I have this in at least 3 other colors. I have one in, let's see, I have one in black. Not this one. Oh, it's this one. This one. I have this in black. And then I have it in green. I just saw the green one. Yes, I have it in green. And then, so these 3 are my favorite. And then I also have it in dark blue. I think I wore the dark blue one in a video recently, or I know I did. I don't really care about the dark blue one that much. But these 3 are my favorite. And I swear, if you guys could feel the fabric of these, the fabric is a dream. It says 92% nylon and 6% spandex. So for anyone out there that hears this, that's the dream fabric combination, apparently. If you want to start a clothing line and make the most magical clothing and have your clothing just sell so well and just fly off the racks or the internet or whatever it would be, you want to get 92% nylon and 6% spandex, okay? Because like I said, these are my favorite for a reason. This fabric is a dream. It's so soft and smooth and just stretchy and wonderful. And at first, because this one and this one are probably my top favorites because they match my favorite skirt here. This is my favorite skirt. So, or like outdoor skirt. So at first I thought that I had maybe lost this one and I was freaking out very recently. And then I found it. back in my car somewhere. And I was so happy when I found it. Oh. Now I try to carry it around with me everywhere that I go. I guess I kind of was doing that with my car, but now I'm trying to like literally carry it like in the bag, like everywhere that I go. So I can't just leave it just in my car anymore. You know what I mean? Clearly, I cannot just leave it in my car anymore, unfortunately. So, God, it hurts so much. Did I just say that I got salmon? Because I did. I got salmon and I'm wearing this salmon colored top, kind of, which is, that makes me happy. Oh, okay. Oh, I want to purposely re-say something that I said last night because I just want to add a little detail. Last night I was saying that I feel like challenging people that I've met and interacted with, sometimes they make me feel like I just try to use that as motivation, especially at the club, like motivation to try harder, go on the pole, do my pole tricks, make myself feel better that way, remind myself of what I'm capable of, prove to myself that I am still capable of doing that kind of stuff, that kind of thing. So I feel like that's a very big source of motivation for me, like challenging people, antagonists, adversaries, that kind of thing. I try to see that as like a fuel source. And then another big fuel source that I see for my dancing would be being like fueled by and inspired by the human condition. Just kind of like that existential crisis kind of feeling. Just that kind of comes with being like existing, being alive, being a human especially. But what I had written down in my notes for that, I put in parentheses, of being me especially. Here, I want to see. I put the pink art around that with my watermelon scented pen. There used to be a female DJ at the pen, or no, there used to be a female DJ at the club, and she gave me a watermelon scented pen. I actually picked out the watermelon scent. She offered me a mini pen, and they were scented, and I picked out the watermelon one. But now she's gone forever, and I'll never see her again, apparently, because I guess she got fired. That was like months ago at this point, but just saying, I miss her. Holy crap. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I think I can actually get rid of this paper then. I want to think that I can. This paper, I shouldn't have to deal with this paper anymore. that aside. I have 11 viewers and it's 8:11. Well, that's what it says anyway. I just want to keep going and going. I just want to get these papers out of the way and just say everything on them. But I'm trying not to have this be too long. The sky is so pretty right now. I wish I could just stream and not have to worry about somebody else messing my streams up. I wish I could stream forever. I wish I could stream for like a whole day. I really do. I wish I could have like a person to film me, or like just be able to do it regardless, one way or another. Like even if I was just to film myself or try to, like, just to not have to worry about my streams being cut short, messing up, that kind of thing, not posting properly, wasting my damn time, you know what I mean? And energy and money, you know? I wish I just didn't have to worry about that so much. Cause yeah, I love streaming and I would actually want to do so much more of it. Oh my gosh, no, it says I have 13 viewers and it's 8:13. So that's clearly not real. Oh wait, no, it says 8. But it says 8 and it's 8:13. Oh, so I see what they did there. I see what they did there. I'm on to you guys. All right, well, how about this? Here's something I can just try to say real quick. Growing to be old versus dying young. Martin Luther King Jr., Marilyn Monroe, R.I.P., Michael Jackson, Tupac Shakur, Sylvia Plath, among so many others, Gandhi, R.I.P. It is scary and concerning that, I don't know, a lot of really famous public figures that have seemed to be particularly, I don't know, inspiring or well-intentioned possibly, um, do often seem to tend to die young. So it does seem to raise the question of whether that really is just how life is. I mean, anything can happen to anyone at any time. Because that pretty much is how life is, I'm pretty sure. Like, that's what it seems like it's, you know what I mean? Like, I think people just really have a hard time accepting that because that is really scary. But then, there is the other side of that too, where a lot of times people seem to have these conspiracy theories, especially when especially when it comes to big famous public figures that are really in the media, and public figures that are really trying to do big things, affect a lot of noticeable change, like really trying to do stuff, you know what I mean? Like Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., Tupac. I mean, just so many, like there's so many examples of this, but I don't know. I guess it's kind of like what I was talking about earlier in this video, like with me, like obviously I'm nothing like that, but honestly, with my intentions for myself, with the way that I dare to dream big and I feel like I have this level of ambition within me where if I really had my way, I would actually be trying to strive to be a big famous public figure like that. Um, that probably won't happen. I mean, that doesn't seem very possible or likely for someone like myself and coming where I'm from, or even just in general, in most cases for most people probably. But again, just with how I actually honestly really feel within myself, if I really could choose, I would want to be probably like a big famous public figure like that. Like, but that is obviously such a huge, huge risk to really, really be putting yourself out there like that. Like especially on purpose in a conscious, deliberate way. But even like for just something small time, like me with my YouTube right now, like earlier towards the start of this video, I was kind of in a way almost kind of talking about something somewhat similar to that idea, where even just something like small time, like me going on my YouTube and talking about the stuff that I talk about, maybe kind of like inadvertently in the background here and there, stuff will show that might give away where I'm from, where I dance, just personal details about myself or whatever. Um, yeah, even just that, of course, can be scary too and risky, and just to dare to put myself out there at all, even just coming where I'm coming from right now, just being from a small town and just kind of pretty much being like a nobody, um, all up until this point so far, and probably possibly, probably forever, but even with that, or maybe especially with that too, because if somebody out there with bad intentions, it might be probably easier for them to target small time people like myself too. I don't know, but again, I'm not gonna let that stop me from trying to enjoy myself, trying to talk about what I wanna talk about, trying to do what I wanna do, because I don't think that just growing to be a very old age is the sole only goal that people should have. It's great, I guess it could be great if you're able to do that, especially if you're able to somehow do that and still be in relatively decent health, good quality of life. But I just feel like there's so much more, especially along the way with the journey. I mean, there's so much more than just reaching an old age. But I do really, of course, yeah, I do have this fear where even just trying to put myself, of course, having the goals and the ambition to ideally become a famous, well-known person someday, like big time, but also even just with stuff like my YouTube being small time now, I do have, yes, a fear of putting myself at risk that way and possibly dying young because of it. For the most part, I hope that doesn't happen, but yeah, I guess the thing the things that I want, well, I've talked before about how there is this big part of me that really sometimes I think above all would have just wanted more than anything to have a normal, happy life, but I've always just felt like that's not allowed for me. Like, I'm not allowed to have that. That's just not in the cards for me. I do think I kinda wish that it was though, really, deep down, but that's just not the direction that I feel like I've been going and that I'm really able to go, even besides. I really don't feel able to try to even go that direction because I just don't feel like that's even allowed for me, really. Like, it's hard to explain. So, I guess that is a big part of why I kind of just turn to, well, then I guess I'll just try to be big time and famous then. Why not? Or somehow, some way. I know that's like such a like pipe dream, silly 12-year-old teenage girl kind of fantasy. It's just not very realistic, especially for someone like me. But oh well, regardless, I don't, so what? Like, I'm not gonna let that stop me either. And or stop me from trying, at least, you know? And then when I feel yeah, of course, you know, with all the craziness in the world, the craziness with technology these days, the craziness with this and that, of course, my mind can go many different ways, many different directions with that kind of stuff, both positive and negative directions. Mostly negative. A lot of it is fear. You know, when I notice stuff going missing, being damaged, that kind of thing, you know, yeah, that's more of like on the fear side of things. And when I let my mind run away with me or run away on its own, just go in the different directions that it can go in scary places with stuff. But then there is that part of me that's like wants to try to put a positive spin on it. Maybe well, at least I'm trying, okay? Like at least I'm daring to try and take that risk. Because if I were to weigh these two things out, when I notice stuff like this, again, I can try to take it to a positive place. Maybe they're actually not that ill-intentioned. Maybe they're just trying to communicate with me in a way to show me that somebody out there is paying attention, to me, and maybe it actually might be for the better. Maybe it might actually be on a positive side of things. Maybe they're actually trying to hurt me or no, maybe they're actually trying to help me more than they're trying to hurt me. And it might look bad, or it might bother me and be disappointing to see my stuff go missing or be damaged. Maybe it might make me scared at first, or maybe, of course, my mind's gonna wanna take that in a negative direction and be scared. But maybe it could be just harmless, just a silly, weird way that they're trying to communicate with me, and maybe they actually do have decent intentions. Maybe they could actually just if they have the power to get into my car when it's locked, if they have the power to get into my landlord's apartment that I stay at when it's locked, my locker at the club when it's locked, if they have the power and the ability to do all these crazy things, then maybe they could also have the power and the ability to use for good as well and to help me out somehow, some way. So, of course, I wanna try to at least consider that could at least maybe be a possibility as well. Like, again, the yin and the yang, it can't all just be just bad, right? But then when I think about the more negative side, I'm like, "Well, is it just one person, or would it be a group of people?" Because one of the first comments that I ever remember getting here on my YouTube was about this concept called, like, gang stalkers, and, of course, that always, ever since, has stuck out. I never had heard that term before. Before I read that comment on my YouTube, I had never heard of such a thing. But of course, once I did hear about it, and once I looked up online and found out, like, a general gist of what that apparently is, it's been stuck in my brain ever since. I have not been able to get it out of my head ever since, and I'm assuming whoever left the comment did it on purpose. That was probably their intention, and I can't help but to assume that whoever left that comment could have very well been a gang stalker themselves. Um, that is by far the whole gang stalker comment, that is by far or that whole concept is by far one of the most there's so many words I could put there. It's one of the most ridiculous concepts I've ever heard of. It's one of the most concerning concepts I've ever heard of. It's one of the most confusing concepts I've ever heard of. It's one of the weirdest concepts I've ever heard of. The list just goes on. Again, there's so many words I could put there. I just don't get it. So that but I will say also, if I'm being honest, of course, yes, it scares me. When I think about that, when I consider that possibility, I do get freaked out. I try not to dwell on it or think about it too much, but of course, like I said, it has kind of been stuck in my brain as a possibility ever since, and, it probably will be stuck in my head for a while. But when I weigh stuff out, it's like I'm still proud of myself for daring to be unique, for daring to be an individual, for being independent, for at least trying to dare to be independent and dare to be an individual, and to trying to believe that I could possibly be worthy of possibly maybe even going on to become famous and remembered someday. And then I compare that to this really scary concept of some cowardly anonymous gang stalker that I would imagine to just be hiding behind a group of other anonymous cowardly losers. And the reason they're probably so anonymous and not remembered, how are they going to be remembered? How would someone like that be remembered? How would someone like that be famous if they don't even dare to reveal who they are in the first place? If they're just part of this group, if they're part of this gang of other people that are just anonymous cowards behind the scenes doing all this crazy messed up stuff to mess with people. Again, they're doing that stuff and they're getting away with it. Apparently, in theory, this is the theory that I've come across. I don't know if it's true or not, obviously, but it's like the theory, they're doing this stuff behind the scenes, and apparently the idea is that they would be getting away with it. Why? Because they're anonymous behind the scenes and part of a group and not daring to come forth and show people themselves, show their faces, reveal their identities. So rather than standing out from the crowd and daring to be independent and daring to be an individual, they're, I guess, choosing to apparently go the route of just blending in with the crowd with their little gang, to be some anonymous coward that just lurks and creeps around behind the scenes, apparently, to do all this weird ass stuff, like damage, mostly it sounds like, just to mess with people for no good reason, or just to cause havoc and chaos and wreak damage. But that also gets me thinking to old age. That gets me thinking about old age as well, because what I have written down here is no matter how badass, no matter how scary or how powerful or how intimidating a person might be, as long as they were to be human, assuming that they really were a real human, then they're probably going to die someday. And it's just weird for me to imagine somebody like that as an elderly person. Like, if you think about the biggest, baddest people, like wearing the balaclavas, like the ski masks, gang members, robbers, killers, bad people. If you think about, really bad, scary people like that, isn't it weird to think about them being an elderly citizen or an elderly person someday? Like in their 80s and their 90s? Not even able to wipe their own ass? Or what if they had dementia at some point in old age? What if they couldn't even remember the crimes that they had committed as a younger person, in their adulthood or their adolescence, whatever it would have been? Kind of like trying to picture a bodybuilder, like a real jacked bodybuilder. Like, how they have those bodybuilders apparently or I've seen in the media sometimes, where it's like, oh, it's 8:30. Oh, 8:31. Never mind. I was gonna say it's 8:30 on the dot. It was. Ding. Like, this is another thing where obviously I don't know if it's real or not, or if this is just something that I've come across in the media, like on the internet or in television or whatever it might be. I don't actually really see this stuff in real life, But you know what? At the club that I dance at, I've occasionally, not often, but I have occasionally come across guys that are just, like, very abnormally jacked, like muscle mass that is just not by any means average or commonplace, or it's just not something that people would probably typically see very often, if ever at all, really. But well, where I'm from, again, I'm from a small town. I'm not from Los Angeles. I'm not from anywhere like big and happening by any means. I'm, yeah, from a small town. So, the closest I would come to even just occasionally seeing someone kind of, sort of like that, like along those lines, would be at the club, the strip club that I dance at. And even then, that doesn't happen very often at all. That's still a very rare thing for me to see someone like that, in person, in the flesh, in real life, that kind of thing. But, when I go online, which, yes, I often do, when when I'm on the internet and just watching, stuff online on YouTube, there's plenty of documentaries, there's plenty of pictures where, you can see, like, big bodybuilders, like, with just insane amounts of muscle mass and, like, veins popping out all over the place, and, it just doesn't look natural by any means to me. And a lot of times it doesn't even really look all that human, like, it just doesn't look like regular average human anatomy, which is fine. It's really fascinating, and it is really impressive that apparently the human body is capable of doing that kind of thing. Is capable of being like, having its limits stretched to where yeah, where it's capable of doing that, of, you know, developing in that way and to that point and, just getting to that point. But it's especially, I mean, it's strange enough to me to see that because it just, again, just doesn't seem common at all. It just doesn't seem, like a very usual common thing to see or to be around or to have happen with people. So the possibility that that could happen, that could be possible for the human body, for the human anatomy, yes, is very interesting, very fascinating to me. But I also find it especially interesting and fascinating to then go as far as to try to picture and consider what someone like that might look as an what they might look like and be like as an elderly person if they were to live to be a very old age, like possibly into their 80s or 90s or beyond. What might that look like then at that point under those conditions, under those circumstances and conditions? um I don't know, it's just something that I find very, very kind of just interesting, I guess, but hard to picture, hard to imagine, but interesting. It's just so hard for me to picture. I just can't picture it. You know? It's I can't help but wonder about it, though. And it's like, yeah, I guess the biggest, baddest wolf out there, the biggest, baddest, scariest humans, no matter who they are or what they have done, would do, could do, might have the ability to do, if they were to really truly be a real human person, a real human being, from what I've always been taught, what I've always been told, I mean, I guess this could be wrong too. I don't really know. I'm not a scientist. But the saying is, or what we're taught, what we're told, everybody dies or is going to die. So yeah, the even the biggest, baddest, scariest people out there, they're gonna die too, apparently. Or maybe technology has gotten to the point where maybe that's not the case. I guess if they're rich enough, maybe they would have the money and the technology to just be immortal at this point, possibly. I mean, who knows, really? I have no idea, but it's just, this is just stuff that I think about and just wonder about, So, well, I think I'm gonna try to wrap this up, I guess, now. Clearly, yes, clearly it's dark out. It is 8:36. I guess, well, today is Friday. I've gone out. I've been out every day so far this week, and I almost didn't come out yesterday or today, but I kind of decided to last minute. Um, I mostly came out today because, well, when I went out yesterday and went to the grocery store, I realized that salmon was on sale. And whenever they have salmon on sale at that store, it's usually like all week long. So realizing that, I wanted to go back and get more salmon today, so that's what I did. And I even wore my salmon colored tank top. It practically glows in the dark. That's awesome. Anyways, I guess I probably won't be going out tomorrow, but I might change my mind depending on how I feel. I've been getting really restless and bored lately. I'm still really tired and exhausted like I always am, but I've also been getting really restless and bored lately too. So I don't know. Um there was one other thing. Oh, yeah, okay. Um Look what I got in my mailbox. Has anyone ever seen this before? This is what the mailman wrote on the back. Oh God. Can you guys see it? Here, I probably shouldn't have this stuff on. Okay, so I'm gonna kill my car battery probably, but if your junk mail sorry, I know you like still can't see it, but if your junk mail continues to be put in the vacant mailbox, your mail delivery will end and your mail can be picked up at the post office. Sincerely, well, they didn't put that. They just put dash. You're a mail carrier. I'm mentioning this because this is like another example of what feels to me to be like an NPC kind of thing. Like, this can't possibly be real. This is part of the video game. This is clearly part of the video game. It's like I am being forced to have this junk mail delivered to me. I guess, well, I will just have to go to the post office and just ask them to please stop delivering junk mail to me. I don't want it. I don't need it. I don't understand. Nothing makes sense, okay? Like, so there's a vacant mailbox near mine. It's been vacant for a very long time. I asked my landlord about it because there's a dancer friend of mine that, well, she kind of works at the club that I dance at. I saw her somewhat recently, maybe like a month or two ago. Up until then, it had been a couple years, I think, since I had seen her. So she definitely doesn't seem to work at the club very often. She kind of just comes and goes from time to time. But when I did see her last, like, yeah, probably a month or two ago, she mentioned how she was living with her dad and like looking for an apartment and stuff. So, against my somewhat better judgment, I remembered that there was this vacant mailbox here in the building that I stay at. So I was like, I asked my landlord about it, you know, to see if maybe she could possibly look into that apartment to move into. And So I did ask him this in person. It's not like this was over the phone or anything. I saw him here at the apartment that I'm at in person, and he was like, "Oh no, like that's not vacant. Somebody's living there." He's like, "All of the units are occupied." So I don't know if maybe he was just saying that to me because he didn't want anyone that I would know personally to be moving in, because he's already had his hands full with me probably, you know what I mean? Like, he just doesn't want another stripper in the building. He's already, like, gotten too much of a taste and too much of a feel for my crazy stripper ass, and probably just has said to himself, "Never again, just not ever going to allow another stripper into his building." Unfortunately and embarrassingly, as embarrassing as it is for me to admit, I am, yes, kind of ashamed to say, but I guess that could probably very well be the case. But it's not like I've been awful. I've never been late with my rent, ever. I've been in this building I've been in his building, in his apartment, for 10 years now, and not one time have I ever been late with the rent. Not even during COVID. I didn't even use COVID as, like, an excuse kinda time, like a lot of people apparently seem to from what I was hearing. I've never been late with it. I I play the radio kinda loud sometimes, but not, like, crazily so, like, not super bad, like, I other than that, I really don't make noise, or, like, I keep to myself. There's a lot of stuff broken in the apartment that I stay at that I could ask him to fix that I just don't, because I don't wanna have to deal with anybody coming in there. Like, on my time off from the club, I'm already around so many people in the strip club that when I'm not there, I just wanna have my own time and space, like, to unwind just, like, to myself, you know what I mean? So, yeah, like, I don't ask him to fix stuff, so he probably saves money, like, that way for me not having him fix so many of the stuff that's broken in there. Um, I don't feel like I'm that bad of a tenant, honestly. I actually feel like I'm probably a pretty good tenant. So, you know how I was showing that tree that had fallen earlier in this video? A couple winters ago, not this past winter, but I think it was the winter before that, there was a different tree that had fallen on, so that was the other side of the building, but there was a tree that had fallen on this side of the building, the side that I'm on right now. It was actually very close to my car that time, but it was closer to one of my other neighbors' cars that was parked, on the side of me, and she's kind of an older lady, not super old, but she's, like, you know, like, at least retirement age. So, where the branch of that tree had fallen, it was kind of, like, blocking her car and her ability to probably leave the driveway, like, leave her parking spot. So, I moved the branch. It was a pretty big branch, you know what I mean? It was, like, pretty big, pretty heavy, and, like, enough to obstruct her car. I could barely lift it, but I did, and I moved that for her. Like, nobody asked me to do it. She didn't ask me, my landlord didn't ask me, nobody said anything to me about it, and I didn't even say anything either. Like, after I did it, I didn't, like, tell her or tell him. I just kind of did it because I guess, I don't know, like, it was just bothering me, like, just to see it. It was just, like, annoying me, so I just moved it. But it's like, you know, like, I try to be a good neighbor as best I can. Like, I've had her mail delivered in my mailbox before, and you know, her mailbox is on the other side of the building, so I went over there and put it in her mailbox like it was supposed to be and that kind of thing. I don't know. I feel like I'm a decent enough neighbor, or I try to be, like, a tenant and neighbor and that kind of thing. But, um, so yeah, but it didn't make sense to me why my landlord would say that the entire building and that unit was occupied when it really appears, and has appeared for quite a while now, that particular unit, that one of those units there is just unoccupied. It has one of those green slips in there where it says that it's unoccupied. It hasn't been getting mail. Like, they haven't been getting mail in that mailbox for that unit for probably a couple months now. And I asked him about it shortly after I noticed that happening. And still now, even still now to this day, like, it's just there's the green slip in the mailbox. I never see any mail there, that kind of thing. So with that, occasionally what I'll do is I will put my junk mail in that mailbox. But you know what? It's not like I let it build up, and it's for very short, brief amounts of time, and I always take it out of that mailbox very shortly after. It's just a very quick temporary thing, just to clear up space in my mailbox because I can't stand to have the junk mail taking up all the space in my mailbox. So, like it always is, they just keep bringing more and more, and I feel like at first I thought this was happening like once a week, and I swear I'm pretty sure now if it feels like it's happening more than once a week. It's happening like multiple times a week, I feel like at this point. Like they just keep bringing more and more and more junk mail and it never ends. And it's like, I have told the mail carrier, I've asked him, I've been like, please stop doing this. And I tried to ask him as nicely as I could. And he's like, I forget what he said. He said that if I had an issue with it, I had to go talk to the post office apparently, which I guess I really will have to go out of my way to go do that apparently. Like that's just ridiculous to me. The whole thing is ridiculous in the first place. Like I don't get it. I don't get why this is a thing. I've made an entire video about this. I have an entire video on my channel that I've had on my channel for a while. I made this video a long time ago and nothing has changed since then. It's still an issue. It's still happening just like everything else. Just like everything else. My long rambling video about it didn't solve anything. So I don't understand. Okay. Like why? And this is just rude. Like the thing about this, I can understand him leaving this thing if I was leaving the junk mail in that mailbox. But like I just said, I'm not. I'll put it there for maybe like a day or two tops. And then usually when I do that, it's when I'm on my way out. So it's just like a very quick temporary thing to make more space in my mailbox for mail other than junk mail, which honestly, I really hardly ever get. 90 to 95% of the mail that I get is junk mail. But just in case, so that I'll hopefully be able to notice, if there's something else in there, I put it temporarily on my way out. I will put it in the vacant mailbox. And then usually what I do is later when I'm coming back, so that's when I'm going out. Then later when I'm coming back on my way back into the building, I will take that junk mail out of the vacant mailbox that I put it in earlier, and I will bring it with me up the stairs, and then I'll just toss it in the hallway. Now, when I say that I toss it in the hallway, it's not like I just toss it as a mess on the floor. I put it in another very designated area. It's in this, it's not just sloppily in the way, it's behind furniture. I toss it behind this piece of furniture basically. So you really can hardly even see it unless you were to specifically like look behind the piece of furniture to look for it basically. So but my point here is that I don't just leave it in the vacant mailbox. And with this very rude note that I was left, this mail carrier is making it sound like I do leave it in the vacant mailbox, which I do not, or very, very short periods of time. Maybe, like I said, maybe a day or two tops. And then I take it out. So I don't know. I'm a big believer that junk mail should not be a thing unless somebody specifically asks to get it. It should be the opposite. Rather than people having to go out of their way to ask the post office to stop delivering it, they should go to the post office if they do want to get it. Because it's a waste of resources. It's a waste of paper. It's a waste of ink. And maybe somebody does want to get it for kindling for their fireplace or for packaging materials or to repurpose it in some way, to make a freaking dress out of it for all. I mean, who knows? But if somebody wants to get it, then they should have to go to the post office and ask to get it, and then they can get it. Whereas yeah, why would somebody have to get it nonstop without asking for it and then go out of their way to go ask to not get it? It just doesn't make sense to me. It's just not right. It's just not right. Anyway, one other thing I want to try to say real quick. There was a dancer that did an audition at the strip club that I dance at on, I believe it was Tuesday night. It was definitely this past week when I was working at the club. And yeah, it was one of the shifts that I did this week. I think it was Tuesday, but regardless, she had done an audition. She was a bigger girl and she did not apparently pass her audition. She was in the dressing room, changing back into her regular clothes. It was just her in there, and I went in there just, like, randomly. I just went in there because I would normally go in there anyways, but I just happened to go in there when she was after her audition, when she was putting her regular clothes back on, like, about to leave the club, and, she ended up telling me that she didn't pass the audition to be hired as a dancer there, and that they had told her that she wasn't the right body type for it, and I felt pretty bad because I actually saw her on stage and I thought she looked pretty good. And there are dancers that dance at that club that are bigger than her. Like that club has dancers of all different shapes and sizes. It's not like a one size fits all by any means. Um, so yeah, I've seen plenty of dancers that work there that are bigger than her. And it's kind of weird, but I was thinking more about it later. And I guess to a large extent, it might really just depend on what manager happens to be working when a dancer does their audition. And I told her that too. I did make a point to try to tell her that because the dancer that was there, or not the dancer, the manager that was there that night when she did her audition was one of the female managers. And well, most of the managers there can be on the stricter side, like a manager pretty much in most cases would be, that's just how most managers are. But that that manager was I can understand, that made sense to me because I can just see that manager, like, she's just kinda strict sometimes with stuff like that, so but I did tell her, I was like, "Oh, like, maybe" I tried to tell her, like, the schedule there, like, maybe come back on a Sunday or a Monday night because those nights lately have been, um, male managers, and also, I I'm not sure how to put this, but I feel like they might be a little more forgiving, and I just feel like she would have a better chance of being hired by them, and I told her that, and, I was trying to be helpful, and I was just like I went on to just say how the I thought she looked great up there, and I was like, "Well, I would have voted for you, or I was gonna vote for you." I actually said that I did vote for her. I was like, "That sucks." I was like, "I voted for you." And then I kinda paused and I thought to myself and I was like, "Wait, that makes no sense." And then I was like, "This is not American Idol," I was like and I said that, I was like, "Well, actually, honestly, like, they don't have us vote or anything, like, it's not like they have us vote on you," but I was like, "But if they did have us vote, I would have voted for you to pass." And then I just went on to talk about how the lighting on stage, I do find to be very unflattering and very unforgiving for in most cases, and how I struggle with that myself, and I even noticed that kind of lighting, just not really being good for anybody really. It's just very weird lighting on stage. Very, very harsh lighting, I would say. So, I went into talking about that, and I was really just trying to be nice and supportive and trying to help her feel a little better, I guess. But, obviously, I didn't have to do that, but I would like to think I'm the kind of person I really do try to be a nice person. Like, I've done a lot of bad things in the past. I'm not the greatest person when it comes to following rules, when it comes to money, when it comes to just I don't know. I don't have the best character traits in a lot of ways because I'll try to just get away with stuff in different ways that I can. I'll try to maybe I'm a little dishonest in some ways when it comes to just getting trying to get away with stuff or when it comes to money. I mean, I used to have a problem with shoplifting and I just yeah, I've done a lot of things that I'm not proud of, that I'm really, really ashamed of, and that will probably always haunt me for the rest of my life, honestly, which really sucks. And I really am disappointed to realize that about myself, that that's just what kind of person I apparently am. That in a lot of ways, maybe I am just unfortunately not the greatest person. And that's a real bummer to realize that about yourself, especially if you actually want to be a good person. Like, I'm somebody that does actually want to be a good person and wants to try to be a good person. And I feel like for the most part, most of the bad stuff that I've done has pretty much been because of money or just by mistake, inadvertently, just because of being an idiot or just not really on purpose and not trying to be a bad person, just because of like crappy life circumstances or, yeah, mostly money, I guess. I don't know. Especially with the shoplifting, obviously. Like, I don't know. I know that I've done a lot of bad things. And I guess my way of trying to not necessarily correct that because I can't take any of that stuff back, but to try to, like, balance it out a little bit, I really try in whatever ways that I can. I try to be a good person, like, I try to be nice to people. I just try to have good energy and positive vibes. But, like, honestly, all my life, even before because I didn't really have the issue with shoplifting until that was mostly just after high school and then my early 20s. So that was mostly just that time, but all my life, even since I was a very small child, I've pretty much always been very, very nice to people or tried to be. I guess there was obviously some exceptions, just like being a kid and just whatever, but kids will be kids. Um, but I'd like to think, I really feel like for the most part, it's come pretty naturally to me to just be pretty nice to people, and even when it doesn't come as naturally to me, even in those cases, I will then go out of my way or try to make that effort to try to be nice to people. So it's like a combination where even though I might not have the best character traits when it comes to like, all kinds of stuff, I always just really, really place a lot of value on how I treat other people and the the impact that I have, especially, like, emotionally on the people around me, as far as just, like, vibes and how I treat them, what I say to them. So I was really trying to just be nice to her and, because I felt bad, but I noticed that she had self-harm scars on her arms, and I'm somebody that has also struggled with that before in the past. It's been a very long time since I've done that. I wouldn't really feel it's not something that I would be able to do as a dancer, which I guess that's for the best, because if I were to do that being a stripper, I mean, I go on the pole and I don't think I wouldn't be able to do that because that wouldn't be able to heal doing pole work. I don't it would be an issue, you know what I mean? People would see it and it would come into contact with the pole and it just wouldn't be good, or it would be like especially bad that way. Um I haven't done that myself in a while, but I did used to struggle with it, especially also that was mostly, yeah, like in high school in my early 20s mostly. And the only other place that I've really seen that or noticed that on other people was on other dancers at the strip club. It's not something that I see all the time, like with a lot of dancers, but I have noticed that with a small handful of other dancers here and there. And it does always kind of stand out to me once I notice it because, it's just like one of those things. It's like if it's something that you struggled with yourself and then you notice it on somebody else, I just feel like it's not that common of a thing to notice otherwise. Especially because other places people tend to wear clothing that would cover that kind of thing up. But when you're a dancer in a strip club, you're showing so much of your body and you're showing so much of your skin and just your body in general that it's more apt for that kind of thing to be noticeable and to be noticed. So, yeah, I guess, seeing that on other dancers occasionally, for the most part, it's pretty sad and it feels kinda bad, but then also in some way, I guess it's definitely not nice, but it is somewhat almost kinda nice just to not feel as alone in that kinda thing, I guess. Like, misery loves company, I hate to say kinda thing, or just that sense of solidarity, like, maybe you just feel some kind of camaraderie just to know, like, "Oh, I guess I'm not the only one." Like, now I know somebody else that maybe has felt ways that I've felt or that kinda thing. It can have its upsides and its downsides, mostly downsides, but just to not feel as alone in that kind of thing, I guess. And, I also just it makes me wish that I could do more to, like, try to reach out to them or help them or just kind of, yeah, commiserate with them and just, cause like, with my self-harm scars, I feel like they're not as noticeable. The self-harm scars that I've noticed on other dancers, I feel like they're pretty noticeable, and they look more recent too, or the ones that I've noticed, whereas mine are really only not only, but they're mostly only on my inner wrist, and they are pretty old, and they've faded to where they're not, keloid or whatever that word is. They're not like the pink puffy scars. They're, like, recessed back into my skin, almost, like, translucent. They do glow in some of the club lights, but other than that, I don't think they're that super noticeable. So, even though like, while I might notice, that kind of thing on other dancers, I feel like they might not be as likely to notice, like my scars that I have on my body, or really just mostly my wrist. So, yeah, there's this part of me that wants to like kind of try to reach out or just almost show that I might know a little bit of how they might have been feeling or, just because that's something that I've struggled with too. But that's a touchy thing, like, we're at work and I'm just trying to stay focused and it's one of those things where you kind of just feel torn, like I try not to get I hate to say it, but I try not to get too deep in the strip club because it's a very difficult place to be. Or it definitely can be most of the time, I find, especially for someone like me because once I go into that deep space or like once you know what I mean, it's very difficult for me to get out of it. And that's something that I try to save and try to reserve for another place, another time. You know what I mean? Like, I can't really do it when I'm in the club. Or if I do, it's just really more of a surface level, like only to a point, and I can't go any further than that. Because again, like I'm at work, it's in the club, and I'm already struggling so much just to be there in the first place. You know what I mean? Especially, yeah, with my background and my history and stuff that I have done and struggled with in the past. Anyways, my point here, I was just gonna say, I'm glad that I at least tried to be nice to her and tried to offer some words of support. But especially thinking back and especially thinking more about how I had noticed those self-harm scars on her arms, I just wish that I had made a point to tell her that she was beautiful, because she was and she is. And I don't know, like, words can be powerful and words can sometimes they kind of just get pushed off to the side or lumped together or fade into the background or taken for granted, that kind of thing. Because, they're everywhere. You hear words all the time, like this and that, here and there, pretty much almost everywhere, it seems like, most of the time. But it's like, I was already, like, expending so much effort and energy because, like, I'm tired, I'm PMSing, like, it's difficult for me to try to talk to people usually and just that kind of thing. I had never met her before and et cetera, et cetera. It's kind of like I just didn't really think of it in the moment, you know what I mean? Like, I wish that I had, but it was already taking a lot for me just to try to, like, say whatever it was that I was already saying in the first place. But just shortly after that, thinking back, like, even just, like, I don't know, not very long after that, even, like, when I was still at the club later that night, I would just thought back and I was like, I should have just taken that little bit of extra time and effort to just say that to her. I could have said that in under a minute, you know what I mean? Like, just to be like, I don't know. I just feel bad. I just I know, but, oh well, it is so weird being in the club because it's like, there's so many people where it's like, I see a lot of faces, it seems like over and over again for periods of time, but then a lot of people, a lot of faces, it's like I just never see them again. And I'm so used to that feeling of people just coming and going, and it's like, even if I really like those rare times where I might actually hit it off with a guy, like with a customer that I dance for or that I hang out with and talk to, 'cause, like, I complain a lot about a lot of the guys and the customers that go into the club that I dance at, but there's also been plenty, like, there's actually also been a lot of times where I've met a lot of guys that I really did like, or, like, actually wanted to continue, like, see them again, talk to them more in the future, that kinda thing. Like, where I actually really genuinely liked them a lot in those moments that I was meeting them, interacting with them, talking with them, that kind of thing. That's actually happened a lot of times. But it's weird because, especially in those cases, it's like I usually just never see them again, which sucks because it's like those are the times it's like I do wanna see them again. And then I see all of these regulars there where it's like, "Damn, I wish I didn't have to see their faces anymore." But then I just try to remind myself, if they're regulars, they're still coming into the club and, that's still business at my place of work. So I still try to just appreciate that and think of it that way, you know what I mean? Even if I might feel a little, like, weird or uncomfortable around them otherwise. But yeah, it's like, just in general, there's so many faces, so many people at the strip club especially, where it's like, they just come and go and mostly just fade into the background or I just never see them again. So it's like, it's already taking so much energy and effort. I guess maybe time too, but especially energy and effort. It's just taking so much for me to be there in the first place, you know what I mean? So I kinda just, yeah, just try to get in and get out, do my own thing, mind my own business as best I can, and just get out of there in one piece, just try not to get injured when I'm there. That's, like, really the biggest thing for me. So, just it is, it's scary, it's a lot. So anyways, I mean, you literally can't see me at all right now, can you? It's just like, I wasn't even looking at the screen for a while talking, but now I am, and I'm like, "Holy crap." That it's actually really scary looking. I feel like when I was doing my video last night I was doing that from a different location. So, when I was doing my video last night, it did get dark for a lot of that video, but that video I did from the grocery store parking lot. Right now, I am actually yeah, I'm back at the apartment that I stay at. So, there's, like, not as much, street lamps or, like, lighting, you know what I mean? The reason I wanted to do this video from this location instead tonight is because I did watch my video from last night. I did watch that back, and yeah, I noticed that even having the 5G on, it was still really choppy, still really staticky in a lot of spots. So I do apologize for that. But I do remember that specific location with that grocery store. Um, that kind of the connection there just doesn't seem to be good. I can remember that, like, from other videos in the past. So, I'm not too sure if it'll be any different, doing this video from here, but I am gonna wrap this up now, I guess, for this video for now. Um, yeah, I'm really anxious to try to go back and watch this one. I mean, I'm always anxious to go back and check on a video, but especially since I was showing, like, part of my location with it. But, I was gonna say too though, it's like there's a lot of different types of videos that I wanna try to do. sooner than later, like coming up. And one of them would be a video of like kind of like an apartment tour, like showing the inside of my apartment. And it's kind of like, you know, another one of those things where it brings up these feelings of like, oh, like, would that maybe be too risky or too dangerous? Or is that maybe not a good idea to show too much of that personal stuff like on camera, like on the internet like that, where anyone can see it? But it's like, again, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be fortunate enough to be able to stay here at this apartment. Like, I'm terrified to even say it, but I'm amazed that I'm even still able to stay here now, just with the way that everything is in the world these days. Like, everything just seems so crazy and up in the air and just in a lot of ways, it kinda does feel like the world is just falling apart, like, more and more by the day. So, you know, like, I don't know what the future might hold, but again, anytime that I dare to even think about it for a split second, it's nothing but sheer absolute terror to me. So, you know, kind of like just in case, I want to try to have some of this apartment on in a video, like just as a memory, like preserved that way. In the future, I want to be able to look back and remember what it was like here, like what it looked like, how I had the place decorated. Like, this place is very dear to me, you know? It's another thing that I do complain about a lot for various reasons, but it's still, for the most part, I'm still very blessed and thankful to be here. And it's still, yeah, it's still very dear to me, it still means a lot to me, and I want to try to get it on a video or multiple videos. Like, I want to be able to remember it in the future. And that includes, like, so many things, like, that includes the club, that includes the apartment that I stay at, that includes my crappy car that I'm still very thankful to have, even though it's, you know, 10 years old also and a piece of crap mostly, I'm still very thankful to have it. I wanna try to get a lot of it on camera, like, I wanna remember in the future how it was, what it looked like, I wanna have memories of it. Same with the backyard, like, where I was showing the tree. I was saying I'm always anxious to go back and check on my videos, but I'm especially anxious about this one to try to, like, make sure I didn't show too much of that car or, like, too much of the license plate. Like, I was really trying not to, but I think the license plate did show a little bit or maybe even a lot. So, yeah, I don't know about that, but it's like, you know, I'm still glad though that I was able to get some of the backyard on camera. Like, then it's like, "Oh, well, maybe even just showing that would be showing too much." Like, you know, people can do, I guess with technology these days, it's like, what, can people just match images? Like, like, really? Like, really? You can just take a picture of a backyard and just find out exactly where it is, the exact address? Apparently, maybe, I have no idea, but you know what? It's like, oh well, I mean, guess what? When I go online, there's a lot of websites where I type out my entire exact address, and there are such thing as hackers apparently, so you know what I mean? It's like, that's whatever technology there might be, whatever there might be showing in a video, people can hack into all kinds of websites apparently, like, people can find out people's addresses in many different ways apparently. So, you still gotta live your life, or I still gotta try to, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know what to do and what not to do, or to just, I guess I just won't do anything, you know what I mean? I'll just just, I don't know. I mean, coming where I'm coming from, I don't know a whole lot, and the more that I do know about stuff, or I mean, even when I hear about stuff, I still don't know if it's true or not, or how true it might be, or a lot of times I just don't understand it. So, and yeah, the more that I hear about, the more scared, the more I don't wanna know, you know what I mean? Like, the more I hear about, the less I wanna hear about stuff anyways. Like, it's just like, you know, the world is pretty much in the toilet, let's be honest, regardless one way or another. So, I just wanna have memories of what I'm still fortunate enough to still have so far. Keywords being there so far, like, you know? I want to remember the apartment that I'm in. I want to remember the backyard. I want to remember the front yard. I want to remember the driveway. I want to remember the club. I want to remember the roads around here. I want to remember the route that I take to get to the gym. I want to remember the route that I take to get to the club, which I have also shown on camera, you know, and I want to show more of it too. I want to, like I was saying earlier, like I would stream. There are times where I just want to stream nonstop 24/7. Not 24/7, but there's times I want to stream like for a full day, like and just show everything that I do all day long. Like there's a big part of me that would like wishes I could have the camera like follow me around like a day in the life kind of thing. Like a day in the life of me. Like just from the moment I get up until just like everything I do like that day, that night, just film it all kind of thing, but but right now I really don't know how to do that, or you know, how I would try to do that kind of thing. But anyways, I'm gonna wrap this video up for now, but the next couple videos that I think I want to try to do, I still want to try to get to that live Q&A, and I still want to show what's in my main bag of clothing, my Target bag. There's a lot of other stuff too. Ooh, excuse me. Anyways, it says that this video is 151 minutes, so 60 plus 60 is 120, which is 2 hours. 2.5 hours, right? I think it's just over 2.5 hours. That should, can you see my little quote unquote? That should be the original timestamp. It says that I have 42 viewers right now, so I would like to take that as an indication that I might possibly still be streaming. But if that is the case, if I really am still streaming right now, I just really want to thank you guys for bearing with me and for watching me, even though I'm doing this in the dark like this. Like, for me to be in the pitch black where you can't even really see me at all right now, and you guys, if people out there really actually still want to watch me regardless of that, like, and you guys are still watching and supporting even though my videos have been choppy lately and staticky and just I'm in like the literal pitch dark right now doing this, that's just incredible to me, and I really appreciate that, and I just really want to thank you guys. Yeah, that really means a lot to me. I think that's really awesome. So yeah, just big shout out and thank you to you guys for that. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna say goodnight for now. I'm gonna wrap this up, and hopefully I'll be able to come back on again sooner than later, as I like to say. So until then, trying to do a little wave down here as best I can if you guys can see any of that. So good night for now, guys, and thanks again for watching. Till next time, good night.